7:01. Call the selectmen meeting to order. All three selectmen present, town minister present, and missing is our secretary, who's ill. Oh, we have a tape recorder. Corin is ill.
They're contagious, so we're not gonna ask them.
Otherwise, you'd have to sit in the audience.
No.
She's gonna die cold.
Okay. Well, let's start the meeting off with the business minutes from last week.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the public minutes for, that was
April 27th.
April 27th, yeah.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion on this motion, sir?
None for me.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's a signature there.
Okay. These are the non-public meeting minutes. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the non-public meeting minutes,
Second.
April 27th.
I can open up the discussion on this, I just like to seal the minutes.
I think we're gonna make that motion after.
Okay,
And,
and all in favor of approving the minutes, that's written?
Aye.
Aye.
And I make a motion that we seal the minutes.
I just have one thing to bring up about that. I did call the Municipal Association. They said that we do have a right to seal the minutes, but they would like to see us do it within the 72-hour period on non-public.
Yeah, usually it happens right after.
Yeah, we forgot to.
Okay, so for future purposes, anytime we can think of sealing, we should do it immediately thereafter,
Yep.
okay?
So we need a second though, because we didn't vote on
I'll second it.
All in favor of sealing the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, we'll have to try and remember that from now on.
Here, I'll let you seal it up. This is paper, right?
Okay, moving right along,
Yeah. We'll seal that up.
all right,
So paper, then we'll sign it.
have the signature.
And right across it.
Correct.
I think so. You wanna do public comment? You wanna do this?
Okay, we're gonna open up for, before we get into the rest of the agenda, we'll open up for public comment. I'll start off with on this side of the right, Chief.
Thank you. Yes, Patrick Bound, I have some questions. I received a phone call tonight from a contractor in town that I hired to do a job.
Okay,
And I was informed that he received a phone call from town administrator
yes,
questioning the job.
yes,
Contractor's very upset to the fact of why it was done that way, why he's being called at their house over the job. Second thing that, I mean, I've never seen this done this way before. I mean, I'm guessing if there was an issue with the bill, or issue with it, something should have been said to me, we should have been taken into a.
it's gonna be, that issue will be discussed a little bit further as we go further tonight.
Because the other concern I have is that, you know, am I the only department that the contractors I hire are being called and questioning the bill?
I thought I personally thought the bill was excessive. And then
The other-
that was mirrored by other two selectmen.
Right, that was another comment that the contractor told me is that the three selectmen said that it will be noted. I'm not sure what that means.
It's noted, it will be noted, I'll explain further.
Okay.
The bill was extremely excessive for the work performed.
And we have facts on this how?
I think it's,
I mean, I guess we could look at.
you could look at, I could take a tree down for less money than that.
And the other comment that I have is that not an employee was told that the town administrator told him that her husband could have done it for free. But I guess the problem I have with this is why is this particular bill being picked apart? I don't see us picking any other contractor bills apart
All right.
Nobody has any
Let
information
me
other than the
explain.
tree was trimmed, that's it.
Part of the selectman's job every week is to review every bill that comes in here.
Okay?
And the thing is, we look at every bill from having an oil change, to buying tools, to whatever. We wanna make sure the town money is being spent appropriately. And when there's for example, there was a bill out of your department too, which I commend you for doing, but it was a bill out at originally $2,000, and the work wasn't done, and we basically put it on hold, it was dropped to $1,000.
Yep.
But this one was just in a pile of bills to be paid, and we looked at what we're buying, and the thing is, it didn't pass muster. And the thing is, as an elected official, it's my job to represent the taxpayers who are paying their top dollar, and I see a bill that's too high, I'm saying, what is this? And the thing is, and when it's that high, we like, for a small job like that, which I think it was relatively small, for a crabapple tree pruning, to be paying that much money is almost a sin. And I'm not gonna sit here and let town money go down wasted.
No,
And the thing is, and it was only, I directed the town administrator to make an inquiry, and that's all she did. And the thing is, if you don't like it, I'm sorry, and that's my responsibility to the people who voted me in, the people I represent and I take care of. I'm a taxpayer too, all these people out here are
I'm a
taxpayers.
taxpayer. United Tree is a taxpayer in the town of Dunbarton.
Right,
Just
and the
state
thing
that-
is-
State that.
I was just looking for an explanation, and that's all it was.
I just think it was handled unprofessionally.
What do you mean by unprofessional? I mean,
What grounds are you basing what was done? Does anyone have any idea what was done to that tree?
the thing is, I would have liked to see exactly, part of the bill was to haul off the debris. Well, what do you mean haul off debris? We got billed for walking at 100 feet to the burn pile?
The material was chipped.
Okay,
That was chipped.
okay, but if things burn pile was there, did we really have to chip it? Where was the oversight there? So, at that point.
So, is this I guess the question is, it's gonna be a common practice, we're gonna question every department head's bill if we think there's a little niche in it. I don't see the issue, I really
The thing
don't.
is, I'm not gonna sign, and these two gentlemen are not gonna sign off on expenditures that appear to be erroneous. We may be wrong, but the thing is, and I'm willing to accept that, but we have to review it. And then when it seems like an outlier, we have to look at that, and we have to represent the taxpayers here. That's all we're doing. And that's all the inquiry was. And the thing is, this is your department, it may be the police department next week. If we see something like a bill that seems like out of the ordinary, we're gonna question it. And that's our
And you know what?
responsibility.
I don't have a problem with it being questioned, I just don't think it was professional of the town to call the contractor. If there was an issue, okay, and I'm not saying if there's an issue, should have brought me in on the carpet, I'm the one that authorized it, brought me in, give me the butt chewing, and work it out.
Well,
rather than calling the contractor.
obviously,
Huh?
so noted, so
You know
noted.
what I'm saying? That's what really got me worked up the most.
That you weren't called in on it?
No, that the contractor was called,
The thing is,
instead of, it's already done, the
Yeah.
work's done. We gotta pay the bill, the work's been done.
absolutely.
If there's a reprimand, you haul me in and you reprimand me. You know what I'm saying?
So noted.
To me, that would seem to be the logical thing. If I did something wrong, or it's perceived that I did something wrong, you haul me in, you reprimand me.
Thing is, I'm not calling fault on anyone's thing is, I thought the explanation needed further. I'm not saying anyone's wrong, it was an outlier in my opinion, it just needed further explanation. And that's all the inquiry was for.
Can I just speak?
Please.
From time to time, the department my office has to make telephone calls, and occasionally we find that there's an error in math or whatever. That's all I was asking, was this the correct amount, and was there previous agreement for that dollar amount, or was it just, he came in, worked, I don't know what kind of work got done. If it was 6 hours, 10 hours, and I was asked to make the phone call, so.
And that's all it was. And we scrutinize every payment that leaves Dunbarton. And that's our responsibility. Thing is, could we have called you? Yeah, I think maybe we could have. But this was at the end of the day, and the thing is, today, it was decided to make the call. I'm gonna go to,
Okay.
but,
Okay,
but
sorry.
you're on hold though.
Absolutely.
Fred?
Yes, Fred Mullin, Stark Lane. On a lighter note, the police chief and I met with this Goffstown representative yesterday, and we took and perambulated the line between Dunbarton and Goffstown, and I'm gonna be submitting the paperwork to the state archives tomorrow.
Does it seem to be in order?
Yes, they're all there.
Okay.
And the one we were concerned about over Tibbetts Hill, that got broken by, I won't say which town, it wasn't ours. Plow during the winter time 7 years ago, it's still there.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
My turn.
Yes, sir.
Brian Pike. Just as a FYI, as a past selectman, we used to question bills from different departments. I know the police department, the transfer station, as well as the highway department. So it's been a common practice to question bills that come in, so Mr. Owen is incorrect in that he's only the one being picked on, so.
Actually, I never said I was
I
being
believe I have
picked
the
on.
floor, so.
I never said I was being picked on.
Okay, hold
I believe
one.
I have the floor, not you.
Hold one. Okay, thank you, sir.
Alright, so, that being the case,
Please. Let him talk, please.
thank you. The minutes from the 20th, I've read those. In the public comment, you had nothing in there about the, on the public comment side about the question asked about half-day and whole-day kindergarten when, Deb Trotty was here. That was missing from the minutes. Also, we had a discussion about the, equipment fund, as far as how it was paid and such, and the town's portion versus the school portion. That whole conversation is not put in the public comments either.
Okay.
So that's missing. And you go further down into your minutes and you,
What was the second one, Brian?
the, equipment fund, the warrant article that they had, that whole conversation, was vacant from your, minutes. Also, further down, about 2/3 of the way down the minutes, you, mentioned the RSA, and I know it's for the right to know law, so it's RSA 91A. Most of the numbers are missing from that. So it just says RSA 3A or something like that, which doesn't exist, so you may wanna fix that for the future.
Okay, thank you.
On your merit pay raises, I would suggest, they're very subjective, I would highly recommend you don't lean towards merit pay raises as much as they sound great.
Yeah.
It takes, it being so subjective that you could have someone that does the same exact job, does the same exact work, no difference, but if the supervisor likes that person, doesn't like that person, one gets the raise, one doesn't get the raise. Very subjective, very difficult, you can,
We're gonna have a, just to help,
right.
no decision's gonna be made on it at all.
I'm just throwing my 2 cents.
There's gonna be a workshop that you can participate in, but we're gonna have a workshop probably in the next next 1 or 2 months. June,
Yep.
yeah.
So,
And we're gonna talk about that and a few other things. That's, thank you.
and time versus, I'd use your anniversary date, because I think Bob was spot on when you start trying to use a carte blanche drop dead date of January 1st, depending on when you're hired, you can
Just for the
raise some problems on the vacation stuff.
Okay.
So,
What was the date on the minutes again? Was it the
The
20th?
20th?
20th, okay.
yeah, that was the last one I was here for. That,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Chief,
I'm good.
good. Sir,
Me?
yes, sir.
Yeah, I just have one general comment. It kind of ties in with what Fred was working on, the
Okay.
preambulation. It's been brought to my attention that some of our markers that mark the town line are not in the exact place, the right place. And I just want to get out there that they're just a guide. They might not be in the exact correct property line between our town and the next town, but they're just a guide for people when they're driving.
Can
You're
I
leaving,
clarify that?
that you're leaving Dunbarton and you're coming
I
from
look
another
forward to that, I
town.
look forward for that.
So I mean, I just hate that anybody would, hang their hat on, that's the property line. We're not surveyors when we put them in. We select a spot that's, can try to
You
be
talk-
out of
talk
the
about
way.
On the roads, that's, you say, well, you're entering Dunbar.
There's a town line
Yes,
sign, we try to
yes.
have them up to date on every town line, and they get stolen. Sometimes they're not exactly on the town line, they could be off a few feet, but again, it's just a guide to say that you're leaving one town and going to the other.
That's for
Can I
the
have a
signs, right? Not the
Yes,
monuments.
the signs, nothing to do with monuments, nothing to do with surveying,
We're gonna have a rebuttal, but.
Yeah, well, Fred brought it to my attention.
Fred, go ahead.
I was ragging on him last night, that's why he brought it up.
Okay.
So I just want,
We're talk-
well, if you
Yeah.
feel that way, I want people to understand that.
We're talking two different things. The vertical green signs
Yeah.
that you enter into town.
Exactly.
Is not the town boundary markers.
And they understand, that's what I said. They're just a guide to say you're leaving one town or the other.
Well, once they've been there so many years, they probably do become
Yeah, maybe, you could be correct. I just want
Okay,
people to understand it. If they see it then, it's not exactly where the town line is, it's not, we're not moving.
Can I use that same excuse to one of our chief's police officers? I'm not in Dunbarton, I'm in.
Yeah, if you want. If you want.
Good
You can
luck.
try it.
Ma'am,
Yes, so I'm
I need your name.
Helga Bouchard, from
Okay.
United Tree Service, Robert Rogers Road.
Excellent.
Proud Dunbarton resident, so
Okay.
thank you. And I appreciate you looking out for my taxpayer dollars as well. Just a little concerned about the whole process and want to understand more about how work does happen in the town. So it's important to understand. So is there any kind of thresholds that, you know, if something is decided that it needs a second set of eyes, or that the selectmen need to review before work gets done in the general sense? Is there any kind of,
Usually
Protocol?
three telephone quotes,
okay,
and, I guess typically, they don't try to micromanage the departments,
Okay.
but if a telephone quote
So-
had come in advance that he was going to do this work,
Yeah.
it just came to a surprise that they
Okay.
didn't know it, I didn't know it, and
and
he wasn't available
Yeah.
to talk to.
okay, yeah, and then is there any kind of background that you gentlemen have to know that this is an excessive bill? And that he is gonna be duly noted to not, you know, that he's expensive in your eyes?
When I saw the bill,
Yeah,
I thought it seemed excessive for one tree.
mm-hmm,
I think it would be right to go to the department head first, not to the person that issued the bill.
okay,
So had I called or checked on it, I would've went to the department head
and I think
direct.
that makes sense, thank you.
I think we all kinda see that makes good sense.
And something going forward,
The
that would
bill
be
was a
good
basic
too.
bill and didn't have really hours that it was done on there, and it didn't
Okay.
have a lot. So all I would've looked for, Woody, is some background, did they work on the tree for 4 hours, or did they work on it for 16 hours?
Right.
So we could get an idea if the bill seemed to be high or low, because you're right, by the way the bill was written up, we couldn't judge that.
Right,
It seemed like a lot for one tree, it may not be.
right, it's to standard. You
Yeah.
can only do so much to a
So-
tree
Right.
to not make it die tomorrow.
But I think, talking to the department head first would definitely be the best way to go.
Okay, I think it's unfair for comments to be made that, you know, other people could have done the job for free, better, marked as excessive. You know, those kind of are disparaging to my husband's company and our reputation. I'm a proud resident, I'm a proud Dunbarton, United Tree Service owner. I find that kind of disturbing that
then
things like that are being said.
on behalf of the town of Dunbarton, if those comments were said, please, we'll retract them, and I apologize on behalf of the town of Dunbarton.
Thank
Thing is, again, the intent was honorable in the sense that we were just watching, it seemed excessive.
And I agree, I would like you to do that, so
And
I
we-
don't want you to
Yeah.
think
And the
that
thing is,
I think you have an open checkbook that we can just write
But,
checks out.
but even as it was invoiced, it was the invoice did not reflect the money that was listed as services.
Yeah,
And the invoice, there was disparity there. And for example, when you say, there was.
I typed up the invoice, so I'd like to
I'll give you one
understand.
example.
Yeah.
You said you chipped. Well, there was no example, there's no chipping on there. Chipping was not delineated.
Remove resultant debris is chipping the brush, that's getting rid of all the cutting, any
But-
stuff that came out of that
Understood.
tree.
But
Was
a
removed.
chipper is sometimes, when you chip something, you have to pay more for it, usually.
Yeah, I mean, that was one all-encompassing bill.
Right, but the thing is, it could have been a little more detailed.
That's how we've been doing business for 9 years and had no problem. And
Right.
we've worked for municipalities in the past, so obviously we've learned something from our behalf,
Yes.
working with the town of Dunbarton. I just don't think it's fair for us to be categorized as it's going to be marked that we're excessive or expensive, because that just shoots us right in the foot, so that we can't do work in the town of Dunbarton.
We still need to know, is, which we'll look into, we'll talk to the supervisor of the area. How many hours it took,
Does that matter if my husband took 6 hours?
it does, because if it was a
Versus-
it was a
It wasn't a
15-minute job.
15-minute job, I can tell you that right now.
I grant
And it was
that.
done when the transfer station was closed on a Sunday So there was nobody around that was gonna be impacted by his work. Not that it was no
No,
different charge
which
for
is,
that,
which is
but.
great, which is great. But what I'm saying again is, if it was delineated in the bill where we could look at that and put A and B together
Okay.
and make a great match, no problem at all.
Yeah, and I think, that probably needed to be communicated to that department head, that that's how a bill needed to be presented. This is how we've been doing our bills, and have had no problem,
We will work with department head, to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
And as far as disparaging remarks, if there
Yes.
have any been
Yes.
said, disregard them as off comments, and the thing is not the official position of Dunbarton.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? Since we opened this up on that discussion, I wanna talk about this some more, and this, if we need to do
we're
any
gonna
more
keep
discussion.
going on
Yeah,
it?
we are. I got a few more people, but the thing is, let's kill the subject right now as far as, since we have it open on the floor.
Mhm.
Any more comments from the conversation you had, Lean, earlier, when you called them?
No,
Okay.
No, I think we've discussed it all. I just think that, we should in the future go to the department head first and ask them for their insight. And then, if we need to go further after that, then we'll go further, but, well, I think it's,
I have nothing.
Okay. Woody, do you have any last final comments? Okay. All right, moving on. Any public comments still? No, public comment? No, public comment, no. And gentleman just walked in. So we're in public comment now. If you have anything that for the board of selectmen in public comment, you can say so now. Okay.
could I just ask your name?
Sure. Dave Nogworth on Guile Hill.
And before we close it, should we offer one more?
yeah,
Ron, anything for the, we're in public comment now. You're the last person to walk in. We're putting you on the spot. Do you have anything?
we
for
haven't
public comment?
started it.
Oh, where do I start? No, not really.
Thank you. All right, I'm closing public comment. I'll bring it to the board.
You've actually posted time for your hazardous mitigation. It was advertised in the paper. I just wanna bring that to your attention.
He was rambling on tonight, we'll have to bring him back.
No, we'll start, it's 7:24, we'll start right now.
You can start late, you can't start early.
Hazardous mitigation, you're on.
Welcome. The Hazard Mitigation Committee welcomes you. This is a public information meeting, and I thank you all for coming. I'm Mary Gerard, I'm the director of the Dunbarton Public Library, and I was on the committee. And my portion here tonight will be 5 minutes. And I will review what we did during our planning process, and then I'll introduce the hazmat, or I shouldn't say that, that's incorrect, the Hazard Mitigation Committee members at that point. So, the purpose of a hazard mitigation plan is to ensure that our town basically remains eligible for federal mitigation grant funding through FEMA, through a pre-disaster mitigation and flood mitigation assistance project, any grant, and it will take place during the next 5 years. The reason why we updated the plan, because the former plan that was written in 2011 expired in 2016. This hazard mitigation committee was formed last fall. We met between the months of October 2016 and March of 2017 to discuss, to assess past potential disasters and other hazard events. We also reviewed critical facilities and our vulnerable areas. And then we developed actions to better protect our people, our buildings, infrastructure, businesses, and property from disasters such as flooding, winds, winter storms. We used a specific planning process and it was facilitated by Stephanie Alexander, who is not here tonight. She is of the Central New Hampshire Regional Planning Commission out of Concord. She was here every meeting. She coordinated our meetings, and our discussions, and facilitated, I guess you could say, our decision making. There was no cost to the community, no cost at all, or our in-kind match provided through attendee meeting attendance. The Board of Selectmen appointed the Hazard Mitigation Committee in October of 2016, and the following individuals were comprised the committee. Lean Como, who's our town administrator, Jeff Crosby, our road agent, Stephen Lauren, our building coordinator, Bob Martell from our selectmen, Chief Daniel Skloot from our police department, police chief, Chief John Wigan from the fire department, Kenneth Swayze from the Dunbarton Planning Board, myself, and from the community, Lee Simons from the Dunbarton Elementary School, he's the maintenance director there, and Kevin Fadden, who's an industrial communications manager, and I'm not sure what company he's from. That's it, okay. Mm-hmm. Also participating, Shauna Lee Morton, who's with New Hampshire Homeland Security and Emergency Management in Concord, and Craig Tufts, who works in that Central New Hampshire Regional Planning Office. He did all these beautiful maps for us. We publicized, or I did not, but Steve did most of that. Publicized throughout the local area and in the community through newspapers, the Goffstown News, Concord Monitor, and the Bow Times, on the town's website and under the hot topics in the calendar portion, as well as town bulletin boards. Additionally, the meetings were all posted outside the community at Sully's in Goffstown, Page's Corner, well, that's, I guess, considered Dunbarton, and then also the Goffstown Hardware Store. We encouraged all interested and engaged citizens and businesses and organizations to attend and participate. A few little demographics of interest. You probably already know this. The town of Dunbarton is a population of 2,797 people. It's a relatively small community and land area at just 30.8 square miles in size. Oh, that's correct. With 90.1 persons per square mile. It's comprised mostly of fields, forests, recreation, and wildlife ponds. Development opportunities are limited primarily to the existing built environment and the highly forested areas of the community. And that's my portion.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Just for the record, Dan said he would speak on behalf of this section, so.
On your section?
The goals of the plan is to reduce injury, loss of life, property damage throughout the town through either hazardous or different disasters, and to promote public awareness of hazardous mitigation planning and activities. We went through some of the hazards that we could identify in town, and some of them happened here before. Flood hazards, flood waters from various standing bodies of water, running brooks and streams, flood control area, flooded roads, culverts, washouts, dam failures, and blockages by debris that would come across the roads and those types of situations. We looked at fire hazards from lightning and wildfires, wind damage from thunderstorms, downbursts, hurricanes, tropical storms, and in the unlikely event of a tornado. Hazards due to extreme temperatures, severe winter weather, storms, snow, ice, all that sort of thing. Excessive heat events, heat waves, drought, energy consumption, used for cooling and during a high temperature time. And issues with air and water quality. We looked at public health events associated with cold and warm weather, like communicable diseases and Lyme disease and mosquito-borne viruses and illnesses, hypothermia, heat exhaustion, things like that that kind of come along with either extreme high or low temperatures. We looked at different human hazards like sabotage and vandalism, terrorism, civil disturbances, stuff like that. Some of those things would be kind of low on the scale for us. Technology and transportation hazards. Through our road infrastructure, blocked transportation routes, hazardous material spills. We do have a couple of state highways that come through town and they're used to transport fuels and chemicals and the like. Communication systems like telephone lines and fiber optics, and we host a couple of cell towers in town here. Electrical power failures, maybe the lines that actually feed our own homes or the major transmission lines that run through town. We're the host to a lot of these things here. We went through the plan and we identified some of the recent incidents of hurricanes and tropical storms, some of the snowstorms and blizzards we've had to deal with, and of course some flooding. We were able to identify that from 1993 to 2016, the town received about $112,000 in FEMA reimbursements for some of the storms that we've dealt with. We also looked at some of the future hazards, and of course, all the ones that we've already dealt with. We could see those again in the future, as well as wildfires. Because we are so heavily forested, and we did have the drought last year. So we looked at what plans we could do to mitigate some of these things, and some things we came up with flooding, replacing some of the culverts to protect the roads. But most of what we dealt with was in the way of planning and policy development and exercising our capabilities in order to be able to address some of these situations.
As I understand that, the thing is, explain to me that we got money, you said we got about 112?
112,000 since 1993.
Okay, which is great, because the thing is, if we don't have this plan, we would have qualified for a big goose egg, correct?
Pretty much.
And so the purpose of this plan is to update it, look at our capabilities, prepare for them, and if we have this plan in place, we're eligible for a FEMA in the future if we so need it.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I just wanna make sure that everyone understands why we're going through this, say, all these plans. There's a end in the purpose. If we're ever gonna qualify for FEMA for any disaster, which he just delineated, we have to have this plan in place.
Yes, that's part of the problem. The other thing is, it's a good practice to try and figure out what kind of issues we could face and have a plan to be able to react to these things.
Totally concerned. Yeah, so it's dual purpose.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Thank you, Chief.
I think they covered it all. I'll go over how the plan's gonna be implemented. First of all, I'd like to thank all the committee members that gave up their time to do this. I apologize, I didn't attend as many meetings as I probably should have. The problem is, this is the third plan we've done. The first two plans we did at nights at the police station, so anybody that's volunteer can attend. Obviously, we have a lot of full-time employees now. This benefits the full-time employees when you do it during the day. Volunteers have an issue. They met every Monday. Monday's a bad day for me in the wintertime, I work. So, like I said, I apologize for not being at as many meetings as I should, but plan got done because of the other people on the committee. As you just discussed, we need this plan in place to receive federal money, typical federal government plan, and it's basically a boilerplate that they use. So Dunbarton really doesn't fit into some of the areas that are normally discussed. We don't have a lot of transportation, we don't have a lot of hazardous materials in town. Our town, basically, major weather events. We have no river running through our community, which is a major, asset to us, that we don't have those flooding issues. We're high, you know, everything runs downhill from Dunbarton. We get severe storms that the highway department has to deal with. I mean, the ice storm of '06, I guess, was the worst.
2008.
Was the worst event. We probably had long-term power outages for weeks on end. We had another wind event, a couple of years past. We had a blizzard. You know, to get money for the blizzard, some people say, wow, you really need to get further money for going out plowing our roads. But, you know, it's all part of the plan, so if we don't have,
I think we had some
Policemen are gonna get-
75 year flooding in 2007 too. Went over all kinds of spots on Montalona Road.
yeah, so anyways, we produced these 4 maps. One is potential hazards, one is past hazards, one is for critical and community facilities. We look at our facilities in town, what could happen to those in a disaster. You know, what do they have now for resources, emergency generators, you know, where will we put people in a hazard? Then potential hazards and losses, you know, loss to, again, not many businesses in Dunbarton. You know, you look at all that, what's a business gonna suffer in town? You know, we have a few stores, so it doesn't really impact us. Nursing homes, we have no nursing homes, hospitals. I mean, you know, we're a small community, so a lot of this plan, when we go through it, you know, we don't have to address that part of it. But, and the plan's good for 5 years. This is our 3rd round of it. Like you said, we did it in 2010, or 11, it was due in 16, so we ran over a little bit. So we got it started. Some of that to do with Central New Hampshire Plan, he gets money to fund her position to help us do the plan, because, you know, if we didn't have Stephanie helping us through the plan, probably not gonna get the money. She fills in the blanks, we give her the information, she fills out the plan, and at the next step, we have to submit it to the state. They look at the plan, make sure it meets their criteria, then it gets passed on to the federal government, and then it comes back to the town. If it's approved, then the selectmen adopt the plan. Well, out of the committee came a suggestion that we make a permanent hazardous mitigation committee to oversee this plan. You know, what we normally do every 5 years, we sit down and pick who we just picked, who Mary read off, usually department heads, selectmen rep, someone from the community. We've got, actually this year from the school, we got their maintenance guy, which is a big help. So anyways, and then work on the plan. So out of the committee came, well, maybe we should have this permanent committee that the selectmen are gonna appoint, and then we'll look at the plan through the year, and they came up with a quarterly suggestion meeting. Maybe we can tweak that a little bit, I'm not sure. We need to meet 4 times a year. But, anyways, at least a couple times, so when the next round comes around, you know, we'll be a little better prepared than we were this time on, you know, you'll think back, oh, what happened, you know, a year ago, did we have this storm, did this happen? So that's what we're gonna suggest to do after the plan gets approved. The selectmen can make that committee. Other things we looked at are what the departments can do during the year, there's no cost. I mean, that's anything like checking culverts, make sure they're not plugged, the police department working on plans for the school, safety plans for the buildings, all that stuff falls into what the department can do at no cost. Then there's plans that might cost money in our budgets. You know, if Jeff has to replace a culvert, that's a budget item. So you look at that, throw that in the plan, say, you know, it could cost us money to implement some of this plan. But again, you know, most of our issues in town are just, you know, our road issues, which we don't have a lot of, but you could have a, you know, road washout. Highway department keeps on top of it pretty well, he knows the trouble areas. They have a plan to replace that stuff. So that's about what I'm gonna talk about in the plan. I mean, you can look at these maps if you want, come up here after the meeting, go through them, and just highlight some of the areas we've had past issues with. potential issues, shows the facilities in town. Again, you know, not a lot of facilities, couple stores, one country club, a small oil storage facility down Dunbarton Fuel. You know, highway department, we have fuel tanks there that, you know, there's a very few, we're not a major highway. You know, luckily we don't have 93 and 89 running through town. You know, we have 7713, which are lower travel roads, so, you know, we're in pretty good shape really. But again, plan has to be done, it's a process, federal government required you to do, again, to get that help. You know, it's not just the money, it's the help too. You know, if we have a major disaster, there's a plan in place and we can get the help. So that's kind of the gist of it.
Thank you, chief.
Yep.
I think it's good to access all the different things that have happened in our town too. It shows a lot of information there people forget about, whether it's a 75-year flood or whatever else, so it's nice to have.
Comment from the public real quick?
Yeah, just, John said that we don't have 99, 93 running through our yard, that's true. However, we are one of the affected towns on the 93 expansion. There is money out there if you so choose to go after it.
Okay.
This is a recommendation.
I just had a question, so when we talk about getting money from the federal government for bad storms or something, you know, I heard the mention of the blizzard, we've had blizzards as of recently. How does that work in regards to, how do we ensure that we are asking for that money from the federal government? It is, if it's something that we are eligible for, what is the process to make sure that that happens?
Well, we get notified that there's a,
Want me to help you?
yeah,
It goes by the county,
Okay.
they'll send, John usually gets a notification. They'll send some calls out.
Okay.
Give you a quick estimate of what it costs you
Okay,
for, the storm event.
okay.
You have to reach a certain dollar threshold,
Mhm.
and the governor has to declare a state of emergency.
that's what we,
If
that's
those
the
things,
start.
if those
State of
things
emergency.
all fall into place,
Mhm.
then we revisit, fill some forms out, and a lot of stuff like overtime for.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because you're plowing.
Yeah,
20
overtime for regular workers is covered, and it's a complex formula, they
Yeah.
allow you so much for vehicles and all that. One of the things that helps us out is we rely on a lot of subcontractors,
Mhm.
and basically we just show them the bill for
Right.
that. They'll nail it down to a period of time,
Mhm.
like 2 days
2
or
days
something.
before and after.
And we're fortunate that way because they'll take those bills and they review them, and usually they okay it. You have to do a little visiting and talking to them. They pay 75% of it. There's still 25% left.
Yeah.
My understanding was the state was supposed to pay 12.5%, and we have to match that with 12.5%. To date, I don't think we've got any money from the state.
So
Surprise.
does the
It's still our money.
Does the selectmen monitor like those state of emergencies to ensure that then that paperwork is filled out?
Actually, the process is.
Lean does most of
um,
it.
Okay.
The federal government will provide or assign a person to each community to go through the process of filling the paperwork and qualifying and disqualifying certain categories that we might include in the total expense, but what people don't understand is we're spending our taxpayer
To
money
do the
first.
paperwork or
No, but we're spending our money,
to do
well,
it.
my time to work with this individual is calculated as time
Okay.
spent.
Okay.
But, and if we have a disaster, we have to go through
Oh,
what
you
it
have
is
to
that
pay. Yeah.
what's happening, and then they make the determination later, and then it takes months sometimes for us to see any funding.
I just wanted to ensure that we are, you know, that there is
Oh, yeah.
oversight, that
Oh,
there
yeah.
is checks and
They're very
balances.
helpful, the federal government is very helpful about getting someone in here so that we follow
Yeah.
the right
Typically
process.
from the highway department, they'll send a representative around, and I have to go around with them.
Okay.
We'll show them the issues.
Yep.
I mean, if it's a tree removal thing, we have to actually stockpile the trees.
I'm
Or
sure.
chips, so
size,
they can see it, they come down and they estimate, they're always very generous, they're always nice people to work with. They don't make judgments, they just take the information they gave you.
Excellent.
and-
That's
and did it.
interesting.
You know, Lean does 99% of the paperwork.
Paperwork. You
It's-
guys do all
it's-
the physical.
It's paperwork and tax, and I think I can speak for Lean too, it's gotten easier.
It's good.
Since I've been involved with the first one, I went to a kickoff meeting, they call it. There were a lot of road agents, public safety people, town administrators,
Complex.
managers, and the state put it on with the FEMA people, and nobody knew what they were doing. You go to one now, they all sit down, they open up their laptops. Everybody's learning how to do it. They've been quite well educated. And, in the
Thank you.
past, what's happened with the money, the largest amount that Dave alluded to, it was the highway department washouts. And I believe it was in excess of $40,000. It went back to the general fund because the selectmen at that point in time didn't think they ought to put it back in the highway department. The highway department spent money, but they put it in the general fund. Since then, the selectmen that have been in power typically have to have a special meeting and
It
they
makes
try to
sense to
divvy it
go
up,
back
yeah,
to where
divvy it
it
up between
came from, yeah.
departments for the most part. And I think that's been fairly successful.
Excellent, thank you.
Hey, Steve, you want to finish up?
Well, everybody did a good job of presenting this information, so I guess I'll just I'll summarize pretty much everything. So I'll take the comments that may come in tonight, and if there's a couple minutes afterward, or any time, even now, if you wanna come up and take a look at these, and just see if you see any issue with it. But anything that might come in tonight, I'll forward to the Central New Hampshire Regional Planning Commission, along with the plan. And Stephanie Alexander there at the commission, she's coordinating with the state and federal agencies. She will take the plan and the comments, submit them to New Hampshire Homeland Security, an emergency management agency, and to FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. If New Hampshire Homeland Security does not request any additional information, they will provide a conditional approval. Currently, the turnaround time on the conditional approval is about a month, 30 days. Then, once we get that conditional approval, Board of Selectmen will schedule a public meeting to adopt the plan and then sign the certificate of adoption. Goes back to the Planning Commission, they will forward that to New Hampshire Homeland Security, FEMA. We anticipate FEMA will provide a formal letter of approval, and that starts the 5-year period again for the new plan. So for the next 5 years, so the Hazard Mitigation Committee, as John said, they're scheduled to meet quarterly. They'll implement the items that are in Chapter 8, the mitigation action plan. And just, that's the process, to continue that work. We might have a new committee member that's to join. That's good, because the only company or representative from a business in town is Industrial Communications, Kevin Fadden. Right now, soon this will go forward, get to the Planning Commission, looking to get a conditional approval in mid-June. Selectmen will appoint a permanent committee, which may or may not include current members. And we're tentatively looking at the first quarterly meeting sometime in late July, so probably the 17th or the 24th of July. That'll be like the first, and as John said, we'll see how they wanna go forward from there. So that's it. Any questions?
Steve, can I have one question? We're looking at permanent members for there. Are we gonna state the member like being the fire chief and or the police chief? Because those jobs, are gonna change hands at some point, I would think,
Yes,
so.
right.
So
It
we're gonna
would be
do more
the
like department head
department
type of
heads,
thing.
yes.
Right, your highway person, only because this plan already identifies some of the man-made problems that we may have. A lot of them fall under the highway department, the various
Whoever that person
culverts
is.
that don't meet, the flow.
Mhm.
And so I guess that's what they would work at, is correcting some of those, or finding ways to correct those, even though some of them may take town warrant money to do, but
Are there any problem areas that you know of that would be potentially set, reason for not to be accepted? Any problem areas that were kind of concern that the committee may have identified?
In the plan?
Yes. Or is it pretty much, I understand it was a boilerplate and we fill it in the ones that the parts were applicable. Was there anything that would be a problem?
yeah, you're not accepting it.
Yeah, I'd say no.
Pretty much is what it is.
No,
Okay.
I think, John, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, just on your comment, I think it's a good idea to make these department heads as the permanent committee
Yeah.
members, and then annually actually put the person into that position. So annually you say, whoever's the chief at the time, whatever,
Okay,
he's in for that year. We do the same thing with our regular emergency management plan the town has, that's the annual update of the all the positions.
yeah,
Board of Selectmen, we'll have to do it again, because we have a new Board of Selectmen.
sure.
And if anybody's changed during the year, any town official, that gets changed. That's in our emergency management plan. You could do the same thing with this plan.
Okay.
It's a good idea, just list the
By position.
slot by position, and then whoever's the person,
Annually.
you annually,
Listed out.
you annually log the person in that slot. But to make the slot to the positions, to the plan permits, probably the way to go.
Okay.
I agree with you, that's good. Okay, any other questions from the public on the hazard mitigation plan? Okay, hearing none, Steve, move out on the plan.
I'm sorry,
Submit it.
Okay, will do.
You can go home now.
I'll get you, Jeff.
Just wanna thank everybody for their time tonight, coming in to talk about it and being here for us. Thank you.
All right, continuing on.
My turn?
It is your turn, sir. Come on up to the front row.
The first thing I wanna say, I kind of mirror what John said. I didn't participate as much as I probably should have in this. There was some time restraint, but the rest of the committee members really did an outstanding amount of time.
Okay.
Don't wanna take too much credit for it. I tried to be there for, and answer some of the important questions, but I think they were all pretty well versed. Having said that, moving on to the road public hearing, every year we do this time of year, it's basically an overview of the roads we're gonna work on, any major projects, and so forth. So I'll start with the major projects this year. The first one is Grapevine Road. We've been working there over the last 2 years, and this is the third year in that series of planning. Basically what it's involving is rebuilding the road surface, adding some gravel, some drainage, whatever. We've done the worst 2 sections. The last section we have left to do is approximately 4,000 feet long. Earlier in the year, I personally had to rely on getting a little more advice and some opinions from more experienced people on what to do with it. I'm trying to pinch some pennies and stretch the dollars out a little more. We thought maybe just overlaying the road that was there. But in hindsight, we've decided it's gonna be better to grind up that last 4,000 feet and make it identical to what we've done on the rest of the road. So it'll be a uniform base for the whole length of the road. And after this first year, we'll put a base coat of pavement. Next year, we'll put the top coat on. Last year's section that we did is approximately 6,000 feet. We put the base on, we'll put the top coat on this year. So it's the last section for major work, but next year we'll put the last coat of asphalt on that section. I don't know if that's the old quick overlay on that. Guinea Road, the paved portion of Guinea Road, we have a couple spots in there. We have to address the asphalt. It's breaking up and, patches and repairs. There's a few of those throughout the town that we have to do. Several different roads. And they're not large sections, but sections that are really starting to give us problems and fall apart. So it's a maintenance pavement. I mean, it's not a full-blown road rebuild or anything like that. We have a number of culverts. Some are addressed in the hazardous mitigation plan as failing. A lot of times it isn't the fact that the culvert's not the right size. We went through a period of time when the town used a lot of metal culverts. It was accepted practice. A lot of towns were doing it. But we found out with the water, especially standing water that goes through from beaver ponds and swamps or whatever, it just rusts the metal away. So we have a lot of culverts that are there, but the bottoms are completely rusted out. I mean, they're starting to, so no large ones, they're basically small ones. So we've got kind of an ongoing plan to upgrade those and replace them with concrete pipe. That's what we do now when we change anything on the paved road, we use concrete pipe. In subdivisions, any builder that comes into town does it, that's the same type of pipe that uses concrete. We found out it's a proven thing and had very good luck with it. A lot of our culverts on the roads are still adequate. There's some older concrete ones, but the biggest problem is they're too short. They drop off at the edge of the road, so sometimes we change them and get them away from the edge of the road so we can access them to clean them out and try to eliminate some of the hazards. At the end of the day, there's still back roads, country roads, curvy and bumpy and up and down, and that's, I guess you could call that character. The other large project, and I'm sure there's a lot of people just dying to hear about it, is the Stark Bridge project. Well, I've spoke about that a number of times. Do not have the permit in hand. We're in a period of 75-day review period. We're somewhere around 55 days in that period. There's no reason to believe at this point in time it's gonna be turned down. We had to get some more information, a couple minor things that there had to be a report done from an outside vendor on basically it's historic value of the culvert, even though it's a metal culvert. That gal came out this week, met with her. She's supposed to write a report up, submit it to the state. And there was another issue on just controlling the water during construction that we had to pin down. So other than that, there's been no red flags. So we're plugging along there at that point. So obviously, if we get that done, we'll put that in this year.
Just a question, you did get a wetlands scientist?
Oh, yeah. Originally to delineate the wetlands, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, that was we had to do that and locate the wetlands on the plan. That was all part of the
Only
the
because I
grand plan.
saw the communication, you know, they had highlighted a few different things that they were looking for. And-
Oh, yeah, it was the stamp for the wetland
Okay.
scientist on the plan. The engineer that did the engineering, when he submitted all the stuff over his stamp, he had a thing not for construction,
Okay.
so they had to have him remove that.
Okay.
The wetland scientist hadn't signed the stamp plan, so he had to do it. The other thing was the water control.
Yeah, the
It was
flow.
Yeah, flow control. And there was a fourth item, and it was similar to the other two. It was a, I'm gonna say nickel dime thing for no other reason, but mine.
I just want to be reassured.
Yeah, no, I said that, no, I'm glad you did, I'm glad you read the stuff.
Jeff, are all the funds for that bridge coming out of your budget?
Yes, they are.
No grants for any part?
No grants,
So it's all out of your budget?
Well, we've had set money aside in a fund
Yeah,
that's gonna pay for a portion of it. Some of it still has to come out of the highway budget as
Okay.
well.
20 days, you're gonna come to the end of 75 days. You should have your approval in hand.
Either approval or disapproval.
Okay, now, if you get the approval,
Mhm.
work will start approximately when?
It wouldn't start until the end of, well, probably mid-August. There's a couple other items that come with that too. There's an issue with what they call landing turtles, and they have a nesting period
Cycle.
of time.
Okay.
And that was part of Fish and Game's recommendation that we try to avoid doing that during that time frame. And after I think it's the 15th of August or whatever, that's not the thing. But you would wanna do it then because the flow typically is.
In completion, how many, estimated completion,
Beginning, break ground, and the end, probably about a month.
that soon,
It's all it's all a precast structure,
okay?
so we have to do some dismantling of what's there, prepare to have the new one set in, and then it's set with cranes and stuff, and then, you know, obviously backfill.
Who's buying the champagne to break on when the first car goes across?
I don't know.
Oh, your budget.
I'll donate the
She probably
champagne.
won't have any money
Are
left.
you
He's gonna
offering?
donate it.
Come see me afterwards, I'll help you with
I
that.
got a gal that wants to break the bottle of champagne over it. I told her she could. But,
Good,
and so that's that part of it. And then we're gonna do routine maintenance throughout town. It's cutting brush, cutting some trees, culvert maintenance, or patching or anything like that. Grading Ron's Road,
okay,
and
ready for some questions from the.
yeah, I guess hopefully I touched on everything.
Speaking of the bridge, have you got the stamp plans to the DOT for approval?
I have not gone to them yet,
Okay.
because the bridge, the engineer that's designing it has to do that. That's his thing.
For the record, that was Brian Pike asking the last question.
Yeah.
State your name, please, as you ask questions.
It will be an engineered load that is what the state requires for that. It's not something that some farmers drew up in the backyard.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Ron Slocum, I always bring this up. You always know what I'm gonna ask. What are we gonna do about dust control on these dirt roads?
I don't know, I've talked to the people a little bit that you gave me the,
Okay,
information on, they haven't offered up a free sample of that wonderful stuff.
that's a bummer. Cause it's always a problem, not just
Yeah.
my road, but any dirt road.
Yeah, it is.
You know, in the summer, especially this last year, extremely dry, the calcium isn't working. You know, it controls the dust for about 24 hours and then it gets rained away or it dissolves or disappears or something.
What do you have, some people putting some other product down that's working by their house?
No, I saw this stuff advertised one time and I
You can
gave
tell,
50.
well, I'll tell you what it was, it's called Gorilla
It's called
Snot.
Gorilla Snot.
It's called Gorilla Snot. Ron got all the information, gave
Yep.
it to me.
It's a manufactured chemical, stuff that you mix with water, you put down on surfaces that you want to manage dust control, erosion control, all this kind of stuff. It's biodegradable, it's safe for the environment. And it goes down and it gets absorbed in the upper layer of whatever material you place it on, and it stands up to traffic. It's designed for roads and non-road use. And I don't know how long it lasts
Yeah,
before it
we-
needs to be retreated. That's what we need to find out.
I was trying to get the guy to give me a free sample.
Is it worthwhile pursuing a sample with a small amount of dollars and see?
Oh,
how
yeah,
much
it might be, we're kinda in that stage, I mean, it might be something feasible. I mean, I don't know all the particulars on it, I don't know if you need special equipment to apply it, or
Yeah.
exactly how it's
Is it
applied.
liquid or
It's
is it a?
It's a liquid, it becomes almost like an acrylic when it gets absorbed into the material.
I mean, unfortunately too, it's, you know,
Asphalt's
it's the same,
works too.
Motor oil work good, but.
The
it's
same,
depending on what you do.
same
Use
issue
virgin oil, you're fine, don't have to be used oil.
everywhere, I mean, the gravel roads are
Right.
getting more use and more traffic, cause the town's growing a little bit.
Well, I don't know, I hate to expend your budget, but the
Mhm.
thing is, if you wanna do I'm sure Ron would volunteer a section of his road.
I'll go buy my own sample
Yeah,
just to
he'd
cover
like to do
about
it.
100 feet of road just to see what it does.
Right in
But
front
I
of
would
us.
coordinate that with the road agent, so
Yeah.
we can do a true
Well,
evaluation.
if we can make it work, we'll try it and see
Okay.
how it
Yeah, 'cause
goes. I
this-
mean, I wouldn't sign on to a large scale thing until we did sample it.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and in some areas, you wouldn't have to coat the whole road, because obviously like Tenny Hill, near the houses, but the rest of it, it'd be a waste of money.
Right.
Some of these other roads, like the one that came up here in the town meeting last time, and some of these that are a lot more densely populated than that, you might have to cover more of it, but.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, the philosophy we use right now, we pretty much don't do anything until somebody calls up and complains.
And then you put
Then we
calcium.
put some calcium. I'm
Even
not-
I erased the speed dial on my phone for
Yeah,
that,
I'm
so-
not, you know, that's the procedure we use. We don't have a town-wide thing where, you know, July 1st, we go out and put calcium all over. Because, I mean, calcium, there's downsides to that too. I mean, it's, you know, not everything's,
Exactly.
I mean, unfortunately,
They have them on speed dial now.
unfortunately, the dust is just the thing you have to do.
You know, I watched the town of Ware widen all of their dirt roads, almost to like they were wider than paved roads.
Mhm.
Those roads became chattery and dusty beyond belief because they get so dry because there's no tree cover.
Mhm.
And if you go up through Deering and Henniker in the summer, some of those roads are nice and damp and you can drive, there's almost no dust on there, almost better than a tar road.
Well, it's the same on Tenny Hill, once you get down to
Treatment.
Yeah,
where they're living, down at the other end of the road, you get under that tree cover, just underneath the power lines, that road usually stays pretty damp. You still get dusty conditions, but not as bad as
Right,
up
that
at
end
my
is,
end.
that end is much more moist than the
Yeah.
other end.
people talk about winding up roads and a lot of times it works against you, you
Yeah,
know?
the canopy is the
Yeah.
best thing
Oh,
on
yeah.
those
Yeah, it
roads.
keeps
for
the
two
moisture in
reasons.
there.
It does exactly what you're talking about, shades the road, and also it keeps the young underbrush from growing up. We're our own worst enemy. We cut the trees and the brush on the side of the roads, whether it's for power line or whatever, and then you get a million little sprouts growing. So it's a catch-22. I mean, you still have to deal with it, there's still a certain amount you can do, but if you've got a road that's got that really nice canopy on it, it has a lot of value.
It does.
The other thing I was gonna ask you about is the type of gravel you use. I noticed there's some sections of Tenny Hill you've prepared recently with more of this crushed stone stuff rather than
It's-
gravel.
it's not,
It doesn't seem anywhere near as dusty.
Yeah, it's kind of gravitating toward that a little bit. The other gravel, the browner stuff,
Yeah.
which is up by your house, is typically, that came from our own pit and we had it crushed up, and that's a more, it's a regular bank run gravel,
Right.
rocks and sand in it. The stuff that we use, that you're talking about, came from a gravel crushing plant. It's a quarry material, so you have 1.5 inches and all kinds of fines in it. and it seems to pack a little denser and stay a little better, so you don't get it quite as rolling.
Yeah, I've noticed it's nowhere near the amount of dust. 'Cause I
Yeah.
drive down by
Well,
his
that's-
house and the
We're
other
trying
sections
to
you've done.
see,
He's my buddy, I've been complaining. He
Yeah.
doesn't hear me.
we don't have a complaints. I got it, then he doesn't.
Mhm.
So Jeff, okay, so
Yeah.
you just graded all of that?
Yeah.
By my place, right?
Yeah.
Is there any is there possible, like, I would think that if you packed it, it would last longer. Is there a
Like-
way it can be
Well, you
done?
know, you could run a vibratory roller,
Yeah,
over,
that's
but we
what I'm
don't, but,
talking-
I mean, the traffic kinda packs it down and all that until we get a,
Yeah, but by then, it's all over the place sometimes,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And then it rains and a lot of it's gone.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
So, I mean, if you
Yeah.
packed it, I think it would last
Yeah.
a lot longer, you know?
I mean, we,
You just have to pack
Does
it
the
with
town own one,
asphalt.
Jeff?
no, we'd have to,
There you go.
have to roll and all that.
Not gonna pave
Typically, we,
road.
Yeah. But, you
typically,
know,
we don't usually rent one until.
No,
we go
I
in.
understand, I'm just saying, I'm just making a point
Yeah.
that I think if it was packed, it would, because after you graded it and it rained and a lot of that got washed off the side.
Yeah,
Matter of fact, a lot of it was in my driveway.
yeah. We did that on purpose.
Yeah, there you go. But if you packed it, you know, and the other thing is, then traffic running back and forth, you're saying is packing it, but it doesn't pack it the same way, you know?
Yeah.
You
No.
know, it's funny that you say that. I traveled Kimball Pond, and that's exactly what my husband said. Geez, did the highway department roll this out? Because it came out perfect. It was really,
See, part of that too, it has
I don't
to
know
do
if
with
it's
the
the
moisture content. And Kimball Pond Road, for some reason, there's a lot more moisture.
Right, yeah, I know.
In the winter, I can tell you, we have a lot more trouble with ice down there.
Yeah, right, I know.
The road
Yeah.
is always icy compared to a lot of the other dirt roads.
Very, a lot muddier too in the
Yeah,
spring.
yeah, because there's enough silt in it, and the silt actually acts with the gravel, it packs hard. It's a catch-22 when you grade it, because as Leo's saying, you loosen everything up,
Yeah,
and then
right.
you get a rainstorm and it washes away,
Yep.
but you get the pothole, so it's kind of a,
Looks pretty at first.
yeah.
See?
Yeah. So it's, you know, it's constant, I mean, there's all kinds of different avenues, yes.
So Helga Bouchard, I had a thought, is there any agent, groups or associations that you could ask, maybe other road agents, if anybody's familiar with this?
Yeah, no, I
stuff?
communicate with other ones. What a lot of other towns do is they actually take and they grade it and then they mix calcium and water together.
I was wondering about this other
Yeah,
stuff.
no,
that-
well, they actually use a calcium and water and they spray it on there and then they roll it right afterwards. You know, again, it works for a while, but it's still.
I was just wondering,
Yeah.
you know, if anybody else had experience.
Yeah,
with-
no,
that we
there's,
might
there's
be able-
ongoing information out there, and a lot of towns are having the, you know, same issues. I mean, we're fortunate because we really don't have that many miles of dirt roads.
And my other question was,
I
I
think 3
know-
people here live on dirt
Yeah,
roads at this meeting, and that's like 3 out of the 6 or something.
And I know, I live on Robert Rogers,
Yep.
and I know a few years back you did like the edge of the road,
Yes.
like where
Yep.
there's like some big drop-offs along the edge. Is
Yep.
there any, is that like a 5-year rotation? Or how
Yeah,
does
it's
that
kind of
work?
ongoing. We try to hit different roads through the year because we can't do it all. So I mean, you know, we do the ditch work and fix the shoulders and all that, and then we move on to another road, and eventually we get back to any of this stuff we do. It's constant. I mean,
So unless
it's
someone
ongoing.
calls to say,
Yeah,
like,
it is-
hey, can you take care of this?
yeah, I mean, we try to head off the real bad spots, but if there's a spot that
Yeah.
you see or
Yeah.
anybody else sees there's a problem with, you just call us and
Okay.
let us know.
And thank you for the patching. Great job on the patching.
Well, we
It's,
try
like,
to keep
done
ahead of
quick.
it, but it's.
Thank you.
Well, after this next rainstorm, there'll be a lot more holes. I mean, it just happens.
Yeah.
I mean, any of this stuff is just continuous, ongoing.
I got my testimony before I even knew the town. I had a washout, small washout, but thing is, I made a call.
Yeah.
I had gravel delivered, and I said, I'll spread it. And he said, no, we'll spread it.
No, it's great work.
Yeah,
So I was
so,
just curious if it was like a cycle or something,
But yeah,
how that
the
works.
issue is, he doesn't know where all the problems are.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's, we have to
Communication.
communicate it to him.
always, yeah.
We try to. What we've been trying to do is, if we have a problem spot, is try to correct that so it doesn't continue to do it. But you can't get them all. And
Thank you.
it's unfortunate. And another thing I just want to brush on real quick. I've been getting a lot of calls the last few days because they watched the weather and we're talking about a lot of rain. All the driveways at the ends of people's driveways are culverts are their responsibility. the town will work with them if there's a problem to help rectify the problem, but we just, everybody I think kind of realized that a number of years ago, but we've had a lot of turnover, a lot of people have come and gone, and a lot of people move to town, and they're not trying to be mean or anything, they call up and they wanna,
Have you
they
figured
ask.
it out?
No, yeah, they ask, I mean, they, you know, wanna know if that's the town's responsibility or your responsibility, but if you, so, you know, we got the camera here and it gets on that, it can handle a lot of stuff. The culvert is the landowner or homeowner's responsibility to keep the ends clean and all that.
Part of their driveway permit.
It is part of the driveway, and it just, but like I said, we try to work with anybody. And when we do a road project or, you know, a lot of construction, a lot of times we'll replace the culvert, upgrade it, and make it better as part of that project.
Speaking of roads that getting upgraded like that, do we have any exaction fees, monies that you're gonna expend this year?
If they can find their way to the highway department account. They're in limbo, I believe.
Right now, we have two currently collected fees in the amount of $4,000 each. The third one we've expended. That was, Holmes Road. So we have two, one from Guile Hill Road and one from Kelsey Road.
Where'd the soul one go?
You spent it.
Oh, it got put in my highway budget?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's reserved on the side.
I don't know.
If you haven't given any direction to the accounting department to
Oh, it's
spend
in
down
there now?
and use that money,
Oh,
that
what?
money's
Oh,
there.
okay.
That was last fiscal year, though. That was, absorbed last fiscal year.
I don't think he made any
Didn't do
determination
anything.
to spend it.
Once
Will you?
once the court case was, the spring, you know, finished and everything like that, that one should go right into his budget right then and there.
I don't know. Well, anyway, yeah, well, that's a housekeeping.
Yep.
That's not really.
Almost sounds like it's like a phone.
Yes, to answer your question, yes.
I just wanna make sure that you know that you have the money available.
On Guile Hill Road,
Okay.
that was part of the subdivision process there
Spraying on the back.
for, I'm gonna refer to as the Chan subdivision.
Okay.
One lot was sold and the trigger to that's a building permit.
That wasn't so.
They handed in the building permit and a check for $4,000, and that is money to be, the town money to be spent on that road, just to do some improvements. Down at the beginning of that road, it's kind of a narrow spot, we have some trees we'd like to remove and do it, so hopefully we're gonna put a plan together for that.
Just wanna make sure that, you know you have the
Yep.
money available.
Okay, so that's Guile Road? You
Yes.
haven't spent anything yet?
No,
And have you spent anything on Kelsey Road?
a couple of years ago, well, not last year, the year before, I guess it was, I was losing track of time. When we built the turnaround, we did some improvement to the road, but at that point in time, I guess,
Do you know, does it exceed the exaction fee?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
asking this
Oh, yeah.
because,
Yeah,
because we already went through with the souls,
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
where
That we have to
they
spend.
were promised something that didn't happen,
Yep.
and then we got into a battle, and when you read everything, so is it possible to get the monies from the exaction fee from Kelsey Road, so they can use it for,
The money's there. If you direct the accounting department to say, I have $4,000 I wanna spend,
Yeah.
apply the bill towards that, then you'd be all set.
Yeah.
Now, you guys made a total of what you put into the turnaround in Kelsey Road.
Yeah,
Do you guys have that available for us, so maybe we can get Jeff that money that's in there for it?
that was done, yeah, that was done.
This-
A couple of years ago, a year ago, whatever, right?
This expenditure is strictly for gravel and road work, and there was a survey, but that's not part of the total cost. That was out of the town's budget, but overall, it was $9,767
Yeah.
that the town spent
Yeah,
to widen, bring gravel, because there's more traffic
Yes.
down there
Yeah.
and whatnot.
Okay.
we had,
By accident.
had no real large plan to do any more there, cause at one time there was a pending subdivision, and then my back plan gets done down there, so we're kinda
Maintaining, keeping status quo.
maintaining, yes.
Okay.
I don't know if
Alright.
that clarifies it or not, but.
That's me.
only because I don't know how many years have gone by since.
I think that was about
2000
2 years.
2014, April.
I don't think there was any time limit on that exaction fee.
Three.
Yes,
Yeah,
6
there
years.
is, there is, that's why my concern is,
Yeah.
the souls came in here.
Was theirs 4 years for some reason?
No,
No,
it was
it was
6
six.
years.
So,
that was an ongoing debate about
Right.
that for,
But actually, a ton of money was spent there.
oh yeah, like $30,000.
Yeah.
Okay,
We spent more on the court case just to take and prove ourselves right,
For the, of the $4,000?
for the $4,000.
Yes, I think we did,
Yeah, I'm sure.
legal.
anything else, Jeff?
I don't have anything else.
Anything else, last call from the public for, one last call, state your name, sir.
Brian Pike, Morris Road.
Yep.
What's going on with that? 'Cause that thing is getting worse every time I travel over it. I mean, the frost heaves haven't gone down. I mean, is it, I know it's in the queue, but I mean, what's your game plan?
I don't know, we're gonna gravitate back that way after we finish this grapevine project. So we're gonna have to address that whole area over there, Montalona Road, Morse Road, somewhere
Yeah, 'cause
along
there gets a
those
lot of
lines.
traffic between the two roads,
Yeah.
and it's
Well, I
getting
think-
worse and worse every day.
Just below Kimball Pond Road, I think.
Yeah, it's-
Montalona's a lot worse than that.
Yeah, I think it's a toss-up, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's.
They won't, I mean, we're just gonna have to start plugging away at it, I mean, we won't have enough money to do.
And could you just quickly explain your philosophy, which I was intrigued with, and I think it was a good philosophy about how you're maintaining the roads in general versus a bond?
Last several years, I've come before the townspeople and asked for extra money. The last couple of years, it's been $100,000. And we kinda did the selectmen and myself, we had several debates at the selectmen at that time on whether we should get a bond and do all this work, a bunch of work, you know, like $1 million or $1.5 million, and do a bunch of roads and all that. Well, I'm kinda cheap, and I think the selectmen didn't wanna spend the money either, cause we realize there's a lot of other needs in the town. And instead of getting a bond to do all that work, we decided that, you know, ask for $100,000, because that would probably equal what the interest payment would be on the bond. So take it and spend our cash on it instead of interest. The downside of that is, you don't get all that work done at once. You do all that work though, then you start to get in a cycle where, you know, it could be 15 to 20 years from that, you gotta readdress all those things. You could still be paying on a bond, and then you gotta go back and readdress it. I think the consensus was that if we could pay as we go, try that for a while, see if we can shore it up and make some progress, then do that. But again, like I don't wanna, you know,
I
give anybody bad information. This road business, it's ongoing. I mean, it's just never gonna go away. It doesn't make any difference to me or the next guy or gal gets up here, and you all travel the other roads. Goffstown has a very aggressive road repairs plan. They have a lot more money. They, you know, 17 or 18,000 people and businesses, but roads that they've rebuilt and doing the same process we've done too, they're starting to show a lot of signs of wear too.
They are.
So it's life in New England.
And they're not lasting, I don't think, near as long as they plan on having them last.
No, it's nobody's fault. It's just the conditions.
New England, like you
Yep.
said.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right.
Well, one last thing, well, even if we had money, how many road projects could you logistically do in a season?
Well, if
Would
we
you
were
have more money than you would resources
to be
to do
honest
it?
with you, if we were gonna, you know, do a $1 million bond, we would probably lump it together in a project and hire an outside subcontractor to do it. You know, a lot of it would be paving. You know, we don't do any of our paving. We sub all that out. A lot of the facets, like the reclaiming of the road and all that, we sub that out too. We don't do that, but you know, some of the in-house stuff, the drainage and hauling the gravel and stuff, we do that way. But if we were to have that an aggressive plan, we'd come up with a little different system. Because you're right, we wouldn't have the manpower, the
Right.
capabilities to do it all in here.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Move on to town business, go to the mailbox first. Got a request, Leon, if you wanna leave it off, this is about the, request from the town moderator.
Yep, Rainey Willett came into the office today and, asked me to bring, House Bill 321 to your attention. That's the, House Bill that was just passed to, referring to town meeting ratification bill. And that, basically, it says if you held your election on the day that it was scheduled for, which was March 14th, in which we did, that this ratification was not, no action was needed. But he said that the bill continues to go on to say that the governing body may ratify all other actions, votes, and proceedings held at any session that was scheduled to take place on the 14th and was postponed due to the weather, which we did. We postponed our town meeting. So if the governing body, the board here, elects to follow this process, it must first hold a properly noticed public hearing. Under the bill, terms say the notice must be published at least 72 hours in advance of the hearing in the paper and on the town's website. It says that there's no prescribed rules for conducting the hearing, but it must be discussed at a public hearing so the governing body can allow members of the public to speak before making any decision. After the public's hearing is closed, the governing body takes a vote to legalize, ratify, and confirm the actions taken at the postponed session. The bill does not require the town or district to take ratification vote, but it's highly recommended by the moderator to avoid any future challenge of the town's vote on the warrants in the budget that we held on that following Saturday. This decision must also be put in writing and posted in the same manner that we would for our town meetings, and we provide those minutes to the Department of Revenue. There were no real issues with our budget process in at town meeting, but the Rennie, who's the moderator, really feels strongly that it would be beneficial for the town to act on that and just make a vote to put this to rest. It's up to the board whether you decide you wanna do it. The cost to the town would be the cost of publication for the newspaper.
About $60.
Yeah.
I'm open for suggestions and discussion on this.
I originally had read that and didn't think we needed to do anything because we had our election there, but reading it further, I don't see that it would hurt to ratify our town meeting day, because we moved it to Saturday, so I don't see where it could hurt the town to do it, and the notification's fairly cheap.
I was out talking with the former town moderator this evening, and he shared with me that Randy was completely in his legal authority to postpone the deliberative session, and there was no issues with that. And just as if he would have a deliberative session, say we needed to have an additional Saturday, he could do that too. And so the question is, do we really need to do this?
Yeah, and I'm thinking that if you have, because you're posting that meeting, so if you have an element of the public that decides they wanna make an issue of everything that happened on that day, does that mean that it makes it difficult for us to ratify having a meeting that day? Or, again, I heard the same explanation, and it doesn't seem to make sense that the legislative body that was there that day made their decision. It was a clear decision, and I think that's speaks for what what we have to do.
And I'm gonna open up for comments from the public on this one. We're tossing this back and forth. Any further comments? I know former Tom, we hear you loud and clear. Right, thank you.
My personal opinion.
Phil,
is,
please.
In all honesty, I think everything was done above board, upfront, transparent, legal, let sleeping dogs lie and just move forward and not worry about it.
And I don't view there were any truly controversial or close issues where the vote was by 10 votes.
Right.
I think the public ratified it that Saturday myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You haven't heard from anybody yet, have you?
Thing is, what are you gonna do?
No. Yeah, if you hear one person complain, you're right.
I mean, it's done. You
Exactly.
voted, you had town meeting. It's not
Okay.
like you're gonna redo it.
I'll bring it back to the board, and I'd like to hear a motion then. That we do not, I'd like to make a proposal, we do not ratify.
And I'll second your motion.
I'm good with that, I didn't think we needed to after reading it the first time, but the only reason I would know is to appeal the town moderator.
And for discussion, I can understand that it's a new moderator, wants to make sure that all the Ts are crossed, all the Is are dotted, and they're doing everything legitimate. But again, the public spoke that day, the people that showed up, that took the time to come in on a Saturday and vote the way they voted is our directive as to what we're supposed to be doing or not doing, so.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of my motion?
Aye.
Aye. So, could you just, we're
I'll
gonna,
communicate to him.
yes, that's
He
all
is
we,
on the agenda for next week, but,
Yeah. just as a reminder to everyone here, we do have we have the special election coming up to fulfill the, state senate district 16. We're gonna have a primary, and we'll be discussing, just a logistical discussion next week, at next week's selectmen's meeting with the moderator. But we have, the election dates are June 6th for the primary, and the special election will be held July 25th. To fulfill that office. Okay. This is just an FYI, we conducted a small survey regarding the interest on internet access. We're still on a due out for getting that together. Boy, and people complaining about the current service.
not to me personally, but there are a lot of frustrated people out there. They
Yeah.
work from home and they need high-speed internet.
Mostly they're talking about our internet service, not our phone service, but our internet service.
Yeah. So just just a small survey was ran, thing is, if we had an additional internet provider, would that be of interest to you if it was in your neighborhood? 3/4 of the people said yes, for sure. And, if the internet provider came in, what else would you be considered? Almost 2/3, over 2/3, like a bundle package of television, internet and phone. And, but over half wanted just internet. So there's a lot of interest out there in having a better internet service than what we had.
How many people were surveyed?
No. Really doesn't say, does it?
I thought it was around,
It said the percentages, not the
Yeah.
number of
Right.
people. That was on our website.
it's still on the
It was on
website, yeah.
Good.
I know the work from home, from a work from home perspective, I work in a life insurance company, a lot of work from home, a lot of industries are moving towards that for an agile workforce.
Yeah.
So I think it is a negative for the town of Dunbarton right now,
Absolutely.
so I definitely think it is something that,
We're, some of the,
fiber optics I know are happening, and I don't know all.
basically, the local company said Dunbarton Telephone is working on, they have an implementation plan of hopefully by 99% by the end of 2018.
Okay.
And, however, some of the people now who are on the fringes, with Comcast is on the other side of the other side of the street
Right.
virtually, why can't they get it? And we're entertaining, we wanna get Comcast in here, and we're still working an issue
Okay.
where we wanna be open to them.
Because I thought it was, and this is just what I was told when I moved to town, that, and this could be completely silly, and don't laugh at me, but that the telephone poles were too short or something like that.
They were.
Alright, so I did get told good information, so that would be probably a,
But there are fewer local poles now
Okay.
than versus,
okay,
power poles. Yes, sir, Fred.
Fred Mullen, years ago, there was a company that was gonna work with a telephone company, and what they were gonna have is a satellite receiving place, and then go by poles. But they said, we cannot come into Dunbarton because the houses are too far apart, so it's not feasible for a company to do this. And in the meantime, the Dunbarton Telephone Company, in conjunction with Public Service, was raising the poles because by laws, the telephone, the internet, and power has to be so many feet apart. And a lot of the poles were too short. But they were in the process of raising the poles, but there still might be the problem of too much of a distance between houses to make it feasible for a company.
Right.
And that was a hang up before.
Yeah, I still see that as an issue, but the thing is, we don't wanna be, I've heard rumors in the past, people said all or none.
Yeah.
And the thing is, that doesn't serve any citizen at all. If they can help some of the peripheral areas where the DSL that we have
Yeah.
can't reach, I gotta give them
Right.
thumbs up.
Yeah, I understand that, but say Comcast is right at the borderline of Goffstown,
Right,
they can say, well, Dunbarton, your house is half a mile apart, and Goffstown, they're 20 minutes, or 20 feet apart, you know?
Yeah, oh yeah,
It's feasible for there, but not for us to come there.
right.
That was the problem before.
I'm trying to be optimistic with Dunbarton Telephone bringing this fiber in.
Yeah.
And I view what Dunbarton Telephone is trying to do is, you know, we all know what cell phones that have replaced landlines. And I view it as a revenue source for them. And so they have to do something, and I hopefully it benefits both Dunbarton Telephone and, of course, the citizens of Dunbarton. That's what I'm hoping for. Okay, go ahead.
Jeff Crosby,
Yes.
17 Stock Highway South. I just got one comment to make. I was a little disappointed the other day. Nothing to do with me as a road agent, personal
Okay.
resident. Brand new subdivision at the end of Grapevine Road, Overlook Estates, 22 homes. They're getting fiber optics. That's a brand new subdivision being built. I've lived in the same place 35 years.
Just up the road.
Stone's throw from the
Yeah.
telephone company.
Yeah,
Fiber
100
optics
yards
goes
from the
by
property.
my house to go to Gorham Pond Road. It's not offered to me yet.
The key word is yet.
I'm just stating that on the record.
The thing is, it's an
I don't understand the philosophy,
Are
but
they gonna be able to
we
use?
seem to be making a big drive to get those outlying places before someone else does.
You know, I agree with you. I think they're using business sense rather than helping the.
I'm just making a
I
comment.
hear you loud and clear. Go ahead, chief.
Just we're
Chief, for
talking
the
about
record.
the outline stuff there. A couple of things factor in when you use a DSL. The farther you are away from the station, substation, the worse the signal is, the less signal you get.
I'll have you talk to my wife about that.
Oh, I wanna have high-speed internet too, because I don't have it either. The other thing is, they didn't have the copper pairs to be able to make the trip down to be able to service the subdivision down there. That's one of the reasons that Grapevine got, fiber optic as early as they did. I just listened to them explain that.
Now, is it usable, chief, down there?
What's that?
Yes.
Is it usable?
Oh yeah, some of the homes are tied in.
Really?
But they didn't have enough copper pairs to do it, so it was either run more copper or run fiber. They decided to run fiber, which made business sense, just for what it's worth.
Okay, thank you.
But I diddle what our road agent says. It's nice to, we're so close yet we're so far away.
I don't live very far either. I'm still
I just think it's odd. If
so-
you can see the building, your signal ought to be better.
Okay, continuing on. Thank you. Okay. We have a non-public tonight. I thought we didn't have one. Okay.
Nope, that's just placeholder,
All
sorry.
right.
So you're just finishing up here?
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna open up for public comment. I think we had it. Anything else in public comment before we close this meeting off tonight?
I have one thing.
Yes.
Yeah, we get notified by our vehicle vendor that our cruiser is in. So rather than wait till the end of July, I mean, it came early, so we're working on upfit quotes.
Does that mean we're gonna get a fire command vehicle very soon?
That's the plan. But I just got word today that it was in, so we'll probably pick it up next week and we'll get it upfitted just as quickly as we can.
Okay.
Hope we have it and be able to make that transfer
Good
sometime
news.
in the not too distant future.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Yeah, just update you on that. Jeff talked about Overlook, the cistern has been installed down there and is full of water.
Oh, it has, okay, great.
But hasn't been tested, we're gonna test it next week. So, just let you know that's in.
It's in and all backfilled and everything?
Graded, paved, pull off, and they filled it the last couple days.
Oh, that's good.
A little rain.
Okay, anything else? Hearing none? Got one more.
Just to give you a heads up that they're also, replacing some poles on Twisdale and Morris Road. I don't know if you guys have seen the, pole licenses yet or not.
I had,
Yeah.
So just give you a heads up in case you hadn't.
Thank you. Okay.
I just have one thing, you may not wanna hear it, but, first half's tax warrant has been processed, and you should be expecting your tax bills in the mail early, to give you a little longer time to pay them. And for the record, the town has picked up $3.2 million in new property assessment, which equates to just over 70 grand in tax revenue. So hopefully that will help offset some of the, increases that were passed at town meeting or school, other, annual meetings, so. That's all I have. Well, actually, one more thing, we tabled the, highway garage fire alarm.
Wait
And
on electrical.
I actually have one more electrical pending quote that I'm working on, trying to
Okay.
get, so that we can have a good look at the two.
Jeff, I did stop down last week and take a look at the old lighting that's in there, just so I had an idea of what you had. I hadn't been in there in probably 10 years, so I stopped by to see what you had.
John Stevens met with the electrician the other day, and everything they proposed seemed pretty feasible. We went through all parts of it so he could give you a more accurate
Okay.
number.
Okay.
Everything seemed doable. Had a couple suggestions.
Good.
Seemed like a good plan.
Okay. Anything else, Nick?
Nope.
Bob, you?
I'm all set.
Okay. Okay, and that item, we're gonna, that's just information only.
Which one is it? Yeah,
Okay,
that's it. And then this is next week.
great. Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at 8:36.
I wasn't ready yet, but I'll say.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you all.